session of side meeting SMB 107, Peace Through Health and Gender. The afternoon session is titled Can Health Be a Bridge to Peace? Cases from across Southeast Asia. Before we begin, for those of you who have gotten the agenda, I would like to announce a small change. So the afternoon coffee break, there will not be a 15 minutes break session, but the break will be served outside from 3 to 3:30. If you want to take the break, please feel free to do at your own convenience. So the session would be run through the afternoon with no interruption. But if you want to take the break between 3 and 3:30, please feel free to step out to get coffee and then return. So with the announcement out of the way, this session would be divided into two parts. Part one will be panel discussion titled Can Health Be a Bridge to Peace? Cases from across Southeast Asia with the chairperson by Professor Surichai Wangkeo and with 3 panelists. And the second part will be another panel session titled New Sino-Western Cold War and Health of Southeast Asia, co-chaired by Professor Espen Bertnes from the University of Oslo and Professor Feng Zhanchun from Tongyi Medical School, China, and assisted by my co-moderator, Dr. Lu Xishun from HITAP. So before I introduce the panelists, I would like to invite Dr. Virasak Jongsubertwong, the organizer, for the opening remarks, as well as Professor Espen Bertnes and Professor Feng Zhanchun and Professor Surichai Wangkeo. So Ajahn Virasak, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm pleased to come here again. As I promised, the afternoon session will be more hopeful. Okay, it will be mostly expressed by young generations of Southeast Asia, which I call this track 2. Track 1 is a sort of politician, diplomat. Military people who either want to make war, negotiate on behalf of the countries, and then either make truce, okay, by the military people when then there's a stalemate. Track 2, on the other hand, is the what you call the elite groups in the country who are not involved directly in as any political power in the country, but have some sort of charisma, like medical professions, academia, and maybe the NGOs. So what is track 3? Track 3 is grassroots people. Mostly they live along the borders because regardless of the war, they have to make living, right? So they are often the victims. Sometimes they are displaced people in IDP or either move across the borders from here and there. So we are today it is afternoon. In the morning we have UN officer, WHO, or the speaker tell what WHO is doing. They have dream and they have a lot of limitation. They have commitments. They have to do the work on behalf of us, on behalf of all the governments. Actually, the WHO is a club, right? It's just like a club of the governments. But they have some diplomatic restriction. The track 2 people have no formal restrictions. But as you see that they still have to listen to their own governments. So I cannot say that they are absolutely independent, because today we have some diplomat people supposed to come into this room from different embassies. Some are online, so especially the speakers. So these people I told them you have to be balanced between being accepted within your country and being accepted internationally. So it would be more on the positive side of the work. So these track 2s, I can introduce, I know all of them actually. First is Dr. Cynthia Mong, where are you? Okay, she's very famous working in Metao clinic in the border between Thailand and Myanmar for several years, and she got the Magsaysay Prize, which is very famous for ASEAN countries. And we talk about these humanitarian problems in Myanmar. How can we help together, because still a lot of some 100,000 people still trapped in war zones, and how to get help to them. This is a minor case compared to Gaza, right? Then we have Dr. Sunilas from Aceh, Indonesia. She is a professor in statistics, but he has direct experience with the conflict within the country. 2 rectors, right, were killed in the conflict. So it's very sad story. But now, after it has been on the post-conflict for 20 years, so she will tell us a story, what is being done in post-conflict, and look for the new development. And the last one is Dr. Alisa in the mornings, in the first sessions. Dr. Alisa is the assistant lecturer assistant professor in Prince of Songkhla University, faculties of humanities and social science. She worked in both in Aceh and in southern Thailand, and she will compare between man-made disaster and compared to the natural disaster of the tsunamis. So those are mostly, in these 3 parts, it will be intra-country conflict. This is, as Professor Peter we said, this is in the Lancet, mostly within countries. But the second part would be on the Sino-Western conflict, which is not as a war yet. But I define myself as a potentially second Cold War, because this conflict, and then we have Southeast Asia being sandwiched by the 2 superpowers. How can we strive and thrive, make further development? Is there any roles for mediations? Because we not serve only the public health, but also suggest these people to go into more loose cause. Although they are not diplomatic people, they can have in the future have some influence on the governments, on the lay people. We have 4 speakers here. Dr. Lo Hongye from China will say what the analysis of international aid provided by China, because China has China is now the donor to many countries, and people have some admire, some have some questions. So she will report to you, and with some some limitation of China perspectives. And then we have second one, Dr. Professor Defimens from Indonesia. He is the Dean of School of Public Health from Andalas University, West Sumatra. We work on the possible roles of Southeast Asia health profession in attenuated the superpower geopolitical conflicts. And next would be another Chinese young scholars from Zhejiang Medical University, Dr. Niu Li. His work on the emergence of global health program in China, because China has the policy Belt and Road, and in order to make this realized, so the global health would be important and have to work with many other countries. And finally, we have Professor Witt, who is also the Mihan, yeah, sorry. We have Dr. Mihan. Dr. Mihan is from Health Strategy and Policy Institute of Vietnam. She will talk about Vietnam policy in strengthening international partnership and efforts in international health collaboration, because Vietnam was war-torn before, right? 30, 50 years ago, Vietnam was in bad condition. Now Vietnam is improving. So Vietnam is hoping to have peace in the Southeast Asia and especially for health. And finally, we have Dr. Witt, who will conclude from Prince of Songkla University as a peace promotion as the byproduct of the international research training program in Asia. And after that, Dr. Wasik and I will come back and do the conclusions. Thank you very much, Dr. Witt.
Thank you.
We have Professor Espen, right?
Thank you,
Okay.
Dr. Vesak, for the opening remark. Next, I would like to invite the chairpersons of this session, Professor Espen Bertnes, Professor Feng Chan Chun, and Professor Sureshai Wangel, to give opening remarks, please.
Good afternoon. I think to save some time, I will say more when the second session starts, but I will give you a little bit now. If I say Dennis Mukwege, Doctors Without Borders, International Physicians for the Prevention of Nuclear War, think in a positive way. What do they have in common? I will talk more about it later. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Bertnes, for helping us keep the time of this session. So, because this session we have many speakers, I'd like to address all speakers. So each person in the first part would have 12 minutes to present including Q&A. And in order to make sure we keep the time, I would like to ask all audience who have questions to hold the questions until the end, and we'll have the Q&A in one go. Also, there would be our assistant, Ms. Asamon, who will have the sign of how much time is left. Okay, so, and this would be the practice throughout this afternoon session. So now I would like to invite the three panelists for the part one panel discussion, Can Health Be a Bridge to Peace? Cases from Southeast Asia, to come on stage. So please welcome Dr. Cynthia Mong, Professor Dr. Sunila Mali Kesuma, and Assistant Professor Dr. Lisa Hasamo, please. Okay, so the first presenter is Dr. Cynthia Mong, please.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for joining this section. I think everybody is very engaged in the morning, and I think very interesting topic for all of us, like can health be a bridge to peace? For me, sharing my experience working with refugees and displaced people along the Thailand-Myanmar border over 35 years, I can see that health can be a bridge to peace. Yeah, so as I myself, I fled to Thailand in 1988 when the military coup in Myanmar attacked many civilian people and peaceful demonstrators. So I might say I fled to the border, and immediately we need to start setting up health services for health and humanitarian service for vulnerable population. So when we are talking about health as a bridge for peace, we also have to consider about the social determinants or political determinants on health. So people are being displaced from war over the past, like since Burma gained independence, there is civil war going on between the ethnic organizations, and with the centralized control Burma military. So thousands of people are being displaced internally and crossing the border into Thailand as refugees and migrant workers, undocumented migrant workers. So this vulnerable population, access to health, education, protection is very scarce, and because of lack of international community cannot access to this population, as well as these people are undocumented. So for us, the safety and dignity for the human being is the first priority for us. So immediately, with the support from local community from Thailand or on the border, Karen community or ethnic community, we able to set up primary care center and connect to the local Thai hospital for the access to the referral system, as well as the community set up the child protection and child care center. So these are the beginning of our journey. And at the same time, we have seen that these people are not under protection from UN agency or not under the international community. So when we say about health, it's not only looking at services, we also have to look at the holistic approach. Health, education, protection are the social determinants to work together to improve the well-being. And at the same time, we also have to look at how the psychological and mental health of these people. So to be able to intervene or to be able to work together, we have to make sure that the connection and the trust building is very important among the community as well, because since all people are being traumatized and being displaced. So over the past, since 1988 to 2012, this before ceasefire between the 2015, before ceasefire between the ethnic organization and the community, the internal displacement and human rights violation has impact on health. So our maternal mortality is very high compared, it's one of the highest health and human rights violation record in the region. So for health workers, as a health workers, we cannot just treating the patient, we have to document the impact of human rights violation on health, like forced relocation, forced labor, restriction for the medicine, medical supply, and looting and burning of the housing or food. So the impact of human rights violation on health is the huge challenges, or we need to advocate that. So the health worker, the role of the health worker is providing services and maintaining the services and expanding the network, but at the same time we have to document and we have to advocate for human rights violation on health. So in 2021, when the military coup happened, we have seen that there is another major influx of refugees. So before the military coup, we have almost 300,000 internal displaced people, but after 2021, as of December 31st, we have almost 2.6 million people internally displaced across country. So they are health workers. When the military coup, the health workers are the first group who protest the military ruling or military takeover the public administration. So the health workers, as of today, there are almost 100 health workers being killed and around 900 health workers being detained and around 200 health facilities being destroyed. So this kind of human rights violation also need to be addressed. So for as a health worker or health professional, So we do the services, we try to improve the health system locally, empowering the local people to sustain the health services as well as to expand the network to reach to more displaced people. So that the health workers being overwhelmed by all the newly arrival people. But at the same time, we also continue facing the challenge of shortage of medicine or shortage of health workers because the military itself also obstruct or restrict all the humanitarian assistance. So our humanitarian assistance go through the Thailand border. We have to set up supply chain system. We have to train more health workers. So among displaced people, we also have health professionals, nurses, doctors, and other health workers currently working together with our ethnic health organization and working together to improve the health services, especially for life-saving emergency services. Usually the ethnic health community setting up primary healthcare services. But after the coup, there is no more secondary level care, cannot be referred to Myanmar government hospital because of the lack of resources or obstruction from the military. So the health workers also perform life-saving emergency service like cesarean section or war casualty management. So wherever the health workers being moving, they are also risks of injury or threaten their security. So some of those, they're crossing the border into Thailand and working, living and working as undocumented workers. So for us today, I would like to highlight that to improve the well-being and status, well-being of the people, the health workers are almost in the front line and continue to provide services even in the very risky condition and also continue connecting and networking with the colleagues inside Burma, so to improve access more services. So today, also I would like to ask or conclude that while we are providing services, we are not only service provider, we are also have to address all human rights violation issue and social determinants on health, and we have to talk about justice and building the civil society, empowering the local community and empowering local system, and making more understanding and trust building among the civil society organization and community so that it can sustain understanding and peace for our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Cynthia. Next, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Sunila Malikesuma to make the presentation. If you need a pointer, it's here. Yes.
Okay, thank you for having me. Thank you for moderators. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Zurnila from Statistics Department, Universitas Syah Kuala Aceh, Indonesia. This is very honor for me to share with you, and hopefully it can provide brief overview of what was happening in Aceh and also how Aceh developed after the conflict and what can be lesson learned for other region, especially in Southeast Asia. Okay, I'll take the topic today is about Aceh journey through conflict and the road ahead. As a statistician, when I have a duty to present about the conflict, one thing that I have to do is to find a data. So in Indonesia, unfortunately, this is very difficult for me to get the data set, especially for conflict, because there is no official data of conflict in Indonesia. We have BPS, maybe you know the Statistical Bureau's agency, but there is only have the official statistic data and still not available of the conflict data. So if you want to learn more about the conflict data, maybe we have to find the data from NGO, or maybe find for other study or for the paper or publication. So I hope I try to find or to get some various sources to get this presentation, and hope this can be a lesson learned for us. Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Discussing about the conflict. Actually, it started on 1949 when Aceh joined in Indonesia. Before, we have independence on 1945, and at that time, Aceh had a lot to Indonesia, and in some reference, people call that Aceh is the capital region, because at the time, at the beginning of the independence Indonesia, Aceh contributed a lot for the development of a central government. If you know Monas in Jakarta, maybe, or how to say Monas Monument, National Monument, on the top of a national monument, we have a very big gold, and it comes from Aceh community. And then we discuss about the aeroplane Garuda Indonesia. This is also provided the capital to purchase the first aircraft. This is also from Aceh community, Aceh people. So after Indonesia, Aceh joined to Indonesia in 1949. At that time, our first president Sukarno invited us to join in Indonesia. The portion of Acehese people, they felt dissatisfied, right? Because they mentioned that government did not fulfill for the central government, for the promises regarding special autonomy. And also another problem is because there is some dissatisfaction prevail among the Acehese population due to economic, especially in Aceh natural resources, for example, oil and gas. And that's why in 1976, this is the starting of conflict history in Aceh. See, we have a lot of tracking in the history of the conflict, and then the Helsinki Agreement came in 2005. Even people said that, okay, this is maybe for God help us for coming on tsunami in 2004. I think this is not directly impact. I mean, there is no direct how to say, there is no direct correlation directly between the tsunami and the peace. Because before 2004, our government, our president, Gus Dur, maybe you know, and also SBY, Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono, have discussed a lot about the peace, but still not work very good. And I think on the Helsinki Agreement in 2005, maybe it also helped by the situation, and people or leader from GAM or combatant, we can see GAM or Indonesian government. Sorry, GAM is, where is it? GAM? Gerakan Aceh, yeah, Free Aceh. That's why they have a big of the empathies, and then two of people have decided to have the peace. And one of the things that very important in that time is we have the general election for the first direct election in Aceh, and now become as a model in Indonesia, because all the election in Indonesia now become a direct election. This is the first time as the impact of the Helsinki Agreement at the time. We also have spatial autonomy and also the reconstruction. Anyway, due to the long or prolonged conflict, we have some impact. The first one that there is the not only damage in the economy but also well-being of the Acehnese people. And the other one is the conflict resulted in loss of life, of course, and then trauma, insecurity, deep scars within Acehnese society, and not directly just only for the people as the combatant, but the civilian casualties were common. See, and affecting those not directly involved in the conflict. Okay, there is a lot of problem due to the conflict in Aceh. Also in education, we have a problem, and also in many conflict losses by the sector. You can see many sectors is impacted by the conflict, and the problem, I think the most important problem in the health, specifically in the mental issue. One of the studies show that the heavy psychological impact of the conflict on the people of Aceh with depression and panic disorder. This is being the main problems in a conflict in Aceh. There is also some impact of the agreement. We have, like I mentioned before, we have the peace and we have development of infrastructure, and we also enhance social economic livelihood and everything. And the most or many NGO come to try to help us, to help Aceh people with the scope of work, many kind of scope of work we can see. Okay, thank you. And then another thing is discussing about the conflict, also discussing, or this is connected, I think, for the poverty rate. You see, from 2006 until 2022, right, the poverty rate of Aceh is still higher compared to poverty rate in Indonesia. But if you see, even this is still higher, but they are decreased simultaneously. So we are very, I think we optimistic that the poverty rate will become decrease and decrease for the next period. Okay, and also in economic growth. Just for the global crisis, we are not discussed in this session. Now we try to get the, is there Aceh Indonesia resolution could not automatically be applied to others conflict? This is the research from Jatmika in 2022. The difference in this study, they just say, or they just compare in Moro, I think, in Bangsa Moro in Philippines. Even Aceh and Moro have a similarity that they have a third party, right? But there is something different. One, I think I write here. Let me see. Still have the time, right? Still have the time. Okay. The difference is the tripartite of Indonesia and GAM at that time. They have three factors that contributed very successfully in making peace. The first one, I think, also come from the other study, the existence of an impartial third party. Okay, and the second, the third party credibility means Indonesia government and also the GAM, they trust on the third party. And the third one, the agreement, this is maybe the most important thing. The agreement must be comprehensive enough and covers all aspects in question, including the desire of independence and political participation. So that's why they are approved in Aceh, because on the first election, on direct election, the governor also come from GAM, also the parliament and everything. Okay, compared to this study, we see that the different because NGO in Aceh do not have real political power like nation states. And their power is relatively stable. But in Moro, the third party is Libya as a moderator, is a nation state. So this is different. And another one thing, why? Sorry? What? Okay. Another one is even the conflict have a lot of scale of death. But in Aceh, maybe the feel of the empathy help people when the tsunami come, right? But there is no big natural disaster in Bangsa Moro. Okay, even if just think about disaster of tsunami, in Sri Lanka also have tsunami, but the peace is not worked until now. So I think the last, I think we can give the recommendation. The first one, have to give the data, the first one, and try to make the comprehensive by using the trauma healing in Aceh. I think this is the end of my presentation. Terima kasih. Thank you very much.
Terima kasih banyak Ibu Sunila. Next, I would like to invite Assistant Professor Dr. Alisa Hasamo to give her presentation.
Okay. Let me share 2-minute story of why I interested to study natural disaster on top of the conflict situation, and also why I have to study both comparative study between Aceh, Indonesia, and the southern part of Thailand. When I was 4 years old, I can remember the first earthquake in my life. On that day, the bright sky, I was walking with my families, grandfather, father, mother, uncle, aunties. I feel dizziness and I cannot stand still. I saw concrete load was moving like a sea wave. I saw my auntie screaming. Their face was frightening. I heard my mom screaming at me, tell me to hold the wood electric pole, which was also shaking. But it's strong enough for me to hold and stand. At the end of the earthquake, everyone's still alive. Therefore, I didn't have trauma from the disaster. However, not everyone was lucky like me, that has still family member getting through the disaster event. Family members have a lot of meaning for me as a Muslim from Pattani, the southern part of Thailand. I was taught by my father to share food and money to them when they need it. And I get it returned when our family have economic shortage. Even though I was born and live in Bangkok, but I often was brought to visit my grandparents each summer. We eat and sleep together in a big room. This walu can found in Aceh province, Indonesia either. Therefore, when they lost someone from tsunami disaster, it brought grief to them. In sociology discipline, the family is recognized as a foundation and highly variable institution across culture. So when I was 20 years old, I wanted to know more how other Muslim culture look like. I chose to study Aceh. Not only I interested to study conflict in Aceh, Indonesia, that how it affect how the tsunami, how conflict affect the relationship of family members. But because we have similar geography, I also found out that many Acehnese travel to the southern part of Thailand very often. I found the religious leader who opened Islamic school in Aceh and had graduated from Islamic traditional school in Pattani. Some of them can speak Thai language because they spent years to live in this area. Another similarity is both Aceh and the deep south of Thailand, they have conflict. Since in the history, which Aceh has fought with the Dutch during the colonial era, while Pattani has a long history of fighting with Siam colonial for a very long time either. And I heard the story this fight since I can remember. However, my childhood in the southern part of Thailand, all the story only appear as a storytelling only. I witnessed the gun battle in April 2004 to the live television after that bombing occurred in several locations across the far most southern of Thailand, leading the violent gunfight between the security force and militants. Only a day, the situation killed over 100 people. I remember my feeling about how much I was worried about my father, which he headed off to visit his mother by train. During the period between 2004 until 2003, nearly 3,000 were killed in Pattani. Since the conflict broke out, the deep south of Thailand economy has declined, and many businesses have closed. I remember the old Crusade Mosque, which built in the 16th century. The red brick structure, square shape of the mosque, used to be attractive tourists from Singapore and Malaysia. Every Chinese New Year, I can saw more than 20 buses lined up surround the mosque. I interview local souvenir shop which sell dry seafood such as jellyfish. She said that she can earn 100,000 only in a day, but all the tourists disappear after the conflict started in 2004. The seller has no longer income, and only a shop still open because she is the owner of the shop and her shop is her house. While the other seller become a factory worker in different places such as Songkhla province. Not only the conflict bring poverty to the population under unhealthy conditions, but also it take away the life of family member in this situation either. I remember one Chinese man, 45 years old, who I was interviewed about his life during nearly 30 years of conflict in Aceh. He is wearing an old blue t-shirt with a torn back pant. He said his father was forced to disappear on the way back home when he was 15 years old. He said his life will be brighter if his father is still alive. He might still study in the school and have a chance to earn degree, but he had to drop out because no longer father to earn money to send him to school. Who knows, he might be a medical doctor or health professional if his father is still alive. He showed me his wooden house with a palm leaf roof and the structure of the house that was about to collapse. There was built on the ground and even no single piece of furniture inside his home. In Aceh, not only faced with nearly 30 years of conflict that took away more than 100,000 lives, who are the father, the mother, sister, and the brother of someone. We will never see the bright future in children who might have potential to become a health practitioner with similar situation that happened in the deep south of Thailand. Let me share another story of one woman who is 55-year-old in Aceh. She told me that on the tsunami day, she heard the sound like bombs 3 times. She wondered how people still fighting during the strong earthquake. However, actually, that sound was coming from the earth cracking under the sea, and it caused tsunami. On that day, she did not running away because during the conflict situation, it was taught them that home is the safe place to live. Therefore, she stayed at home with her mother, her husband, her younger sister, and brother and her child. She started crying when she described her experience, especially when she recalled being separated from her sibling, her older sister. Most of her family members are still alive, except her mother, who was drowned because of the tsunami. She told the story with tears in her eye, and he bent down and more whispered, "Our house will destroy. My mom passed away, but I cannot eat. If I recall today, I become very sad. I can't sleep during the day or at night, and I keep remembering when I was searching for my sister and brother. Where are they?" They have 3 tsunami waves in Aceh, not only one. Another woman told me that the first wave tsunami separated her from her grandmother and her daughter. But during her escape, she was still holding hand of her younger son after the first wave. For a period, her husband was not with her anymore. Her family member was floating in the water, except for her grandmother and her daughter, who had not been signed after the first wave strike. Then she was hit by the second wave, the second killer wave, and lost her son grip. She saw him drowning, floating away, and calling her, "Mother, mother," and he was gone. Even though her husband ordered her not to look at him, but he still wanted to see her son and wanted to see until he disappeared in the expanded water. When he shared this part of her story to me, her face bent down and more heavily. Her friend who sat near her gave her a hug, trying to release the pain from her shaking body. And in a year later, after tsunami hit Aceh, Aceh have MOU between government of Indonesia and Free Aceh movement. Many people said that because of tsunami, it bring peace to them, because of they were punishment by God, that Muslim cannot kill Muslim, and also because of the long term of conflict, they're ready to sign agreement, peace agreement. While in the southern part of Thailand, the conflict still ongoing, and a few weeks ago, in my village, it had heavy flooding which killed 20 people and affected more than 200 local people in resort Narathiwat. However, nearly no news appear on Thailand mainstream media because it is normal situation. It is quite challenging that while southern province of Thailand still have conflict and still have ongoing natural disaster. However, in this situation, I'd like you to thinking about that not only in the normal situation, it's already challenging to improve health and well-being. And also it's more challenge when we want to improve good health under the conflict condition. And it is more extremely challenged when we work on the improve to the people for having good health in the conflict situation under natural disaster situation. So I think we need to stop the conflict, which is man-made disaster, and we can control it. Why the natural disaster, which happen more often because of the climate change, we need people to have good health and well-being for being ready for the next disaster. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Assistant Professor Lisa Hasama, for the sharing with us your stories as well as what you found in the field. So next, before the Q&A session, I would like to ask the chairperson for this session, Professor Surishai Wankeo, to give a few summary and comments, and then we'll open up the floor for Q&A. So, Ajahn Surishai, please.
Thank you. It is my honor to say something following the three excellent presentations. We are living in a world where there are human stories from somewhere that are not quite related to our own place. So, but today, in this room, the story is from Myanmar and Thailand, the story from Aceh, and story from southern Thailand and Aceh in comparison have come to a new level. So my point here is, are we separated because we are from different countries? we are just separated. We just listen to stories as they are told, or are we human beings who are able to understand and to grasp the things in the stories from Myanmar, from Aceh, and from southern Thailand? So this, my first point is related to stories as being told, but they are all human stories. And this is not only geopolitical discussion, but it is a message to us, our sense as a human being listening to all these stories. My second point then related to, but each context are so complicated. Each location has its own history. Myanmar, Dr. Cynthia came to Thailand in 1988. Since then, she has never been able to go back home. So she has been displaced. But now, working as a medical doctor, leading a clinic at the border, she has been helping. She has been very helpful. So along that way, I think Dr. Cynthia displaced herself, but still, through her health work, she has been example of health professional using her caring activities to be a bridge. But you see, the issue is even more complicated when you imagine the story from Myanmar. Within Myanmar, people will say intra-country conflict. It's something happened in Myanmar. But it's not quite intra, because we human beings who live outside Myanmar are also moved by the stories. And the impact also have impact over the borders, the physical borders. So here, my point I just would like to bring to you, the case of Dr. Cynthia, who has been using her work as a bridge, not just a bridge, but as bridging activities. I mean, it's ongoing in the context of even more complicated conflicts. Who will settle the violence and the conflict in Myanmar? The military are most powerful, but they don't have any legitimacy. While if we leave the matter to the military, it will go on like this. But if you see the issue of how medical people can be a positive force, yeah, okay. Now I come to Aceh, which I think, and southern Thailand, I think we can see some common elements. There was relationships between Aceh and Pattani before we became a country, because there are religious links, and because of Muslim education, and along that line, you see, the relationships before we have become countries were a ground of a positive sharing. And also, we witnessed the story of tsunami, and I think you are aware, like me now, tsunami is coming to be, this year is the 20th year of tsunami. I mention this in the light of tsunami is not a separate event that we talk about different places. But if we talk about separate cases, it is about a word from Japan, because this tsunami is not a Thai or Indonesian word. But all these words become unifying experience. And that also different impact in the way that tsunami, the disaster, make it possible that the fighting stopped, somehow finding ways to deal with the conflict. While I think in the case of Thailand, we are learning how all these issues, which are more more engaged in the local area, and if we see this as a separate issue, we also need to feel, on the other hand, these stories could bring us to see how can we be more related beyond the physical border. And I think Ajahn Alisa maybe is a bridge in a way, a bridge of learning. So I just want to finish by saying, when you use the word bridge, just to finish by the word bridge, in the world of war, in the world of fighting, the world of violence, the word bridge are not very attractive, because people talk about walls, people talk about fortress. People, you see, we are familiar with preventing our disaster by creating fortress or walls. But in the world where pandemic like this, I think we are warned by being able to face a new reality of common pandemic and common challenge of climate disaster that we are facing, by seeing more the role of health or the stories of this kind that can help us. Thank you.
Many thanks to the chairperson for that very insightful remarks. I think we have about 8 minutes left, so I invite maybe 2 questions from the floor. And so this way the panelists will have adequate time to respond. So any question from the floor, please? Okay, Dr. Bird, next, please.
Thank you for very interesting and thoughtful presentations. I have a question for Cynthia. Access to primary health care is a problem for many of the refugees from Myanmar because they have no health insurance. That's one thing. Is it, I mean, if Thailand will contribute to make trust in the health system by providing health services, can they do that? Or, I mean, do they get the help they need, the refugees? If not, Thailand should do something to make trust in the health system. That will create trust and peaceful societies in the border area.
Firstly, the Thailand government, Ministry of Health and the local Thai hospital, they are addressing the migrant health or border health issue, because the border is always people moving back and forth, and whether they are migrants or refugees or internal displaced, access to primary or secondary level care is still challenges. So also we could not, many of them, they are not in the national registration, but the improvement is children who were born in Thailand now access to, if they are registered within 15 days, they can access to health service or they can access to per registration. That means preventing, even they are receiving the stateless document, they still access to health or education opportunity, but there is always limited. So to strengthen support to the local organization or work with international NGO who providing services is also very important, because the challenge and the population refugee influx is a challenges over the past 3 years. We have seen that estimated on the border, this is the transit point, people moving back and forth. To improve access, to also improve or work with the local community organization like our clinic or other NGO to address the issue about access to primary health care, as well as to improve access to the life-saving emergency services.
May I may I share my point? Because we have a lot of Myanmar students working on these issues, and we have our service people from Myanmar. So Thailand can absorb a lot of labor from Myanmar, both intellectuals and labor workers. So this is different from Europe. When you have Syria, then people are scared. But here, Thailand needs a lot of laborers, and demographically, Thailand is declining the population. So I oversee that in the future we have to, all nations will fight less and less because people get older and older. They will fight, not the fight, they will compete to get more citizens because it would be more productive to have young people. So I think the fighting is, I look at the history because fighting is mostly when people have positive population growth, a lot of young people, a lot of hormones and a lot of things. And economy is growing, you need more resource to serve your country. Once you get old, I think, for example, Japan would not like to fight, have to live and have to import more populations. This would be the case in Thailand and many countries in the world. So I think there's a cycle of, peace and conflicts, and in ASEAN country, we try to get more engagement, right, in Myanmar, but not easily. But in the future, eventually, because of the economy, everybody has to unite together to look for the futures, and we have to solve these temporary problems in the conflicts. We work a lot with AJES, right? Indonesia's work together, a lot of projects together with the support of US and other countries, Finland. So we hope that in this would be temporary. We look forward to more positive aspects. We have a lot of things is memorable, but should not occupy our futuristic view. Okay. So for Thailand, Thailand has, I think the condition of migrant worker in Thailand nowadays improving because the policies is to legalize, and we have good insurance systems. We are trying to, we have the national legislation, but in the future we are looking to have the biometrics so that the migrant workers can have the same right without the national IDs when we have the biometrics, so people can get service. And the area in the refugee camps will be taken care by Ministry of Interior and also the Red Cross, International Red Cross. But outside, there's a lot of NGOs, how to send the money back to their country. My helper, for example, from Myanmar, she escaped because there's a fighting. But now she lived quite happily and sent the money back to her family, and she have a good life. And in the future, some of my workers went back to married and have raised a family in some peaceful areas. I think I have a positive feeling, but we still have to solve the problem of the fighting in the north and the conflicting parts of the governments, military governments. But how is beyond. So I think we have to look forward to positive ways, demographic transitions when people get old. Thank you. I don't want to be repeating the patients from the morning, so I look more positive. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's we're out of time for the first panel session, so I'd like to thank the chairperson, Professor Surishay Wankeo. as well as the three panelists, Dr. Cynthia Mong, Dr. Sunila, and Dr. Alisa. Thank you very much. Next, I would like to invite my co-moderator, Dr. Sishan Liu from HITAP, to take the stage. I also would like to invite on this side the co-chairpersons for this session, Professor Espen Bertnes and Professor Feng Janshun, to join the stage on my left-hand side. And Sishan, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the part 2. Welcome to the Young Generation World. Firstly, let's invite all the speakers come to here. In this section, we have 5 speakers: Dr. Liu Li, Dr. Huang Qimijing, and Dr. Lo Hongye. Dr. French, come to here. And also, I would like to our chair, Professor Weisman. It's okay, you can say you are the chair. Yes, sure, you should sit here. It's okay. Yeah. In this section, when we will routine first word of the participants. I would like to invite our 2 co-chairs sit here and Yuan Zhang. They have 2 sides. Okay. And 2. Yeah. Okay, it's okay. Okay, let's start. This section will have 3. One is one of the speakers will take the presentation. After that, I invite our chair, Professor Weisman, to share your summarize and comments for all the speakers. And also would like to share Yuan Zhang, Lo Yuanzhang, to share your comments and thoughts for all the speakers. And after that, it's a group Q&A section. So let's move to the first speaker, Dr. Long Hongye. Dr. Long Hongye comes from the Guangxi Medical University. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my honor to present the topic of the international aid of China. And today I will be presenting the various aspects of international aid provided by China. My presentation will cover the scope and the impact of this aid, drawn from comprehensive research and data sources, many from the government data. This is the outline of my presentation, including background and the significance and the roles of China's international aid in promoting health and peace. And also, I will introduce some brief history of China international aid and the types, many in 3 types of aid provided by China. We'll also talk discussion about the challenges and concern, also future outlook of Chinese aid strategy. As we know that international aids are various from financial, materials, and technological and human resource support provided by developed countries or international organizations to promote the economic and social development and improve the living standards of developing countries. Over time, this aid has changed a lot. Early on, it was about humanitarian aid and relief during tough time. After World II, some plans like Marshall Plans helped rebuilding Europe. Later, the focus shift from just building things to also improving health and education, and also improve human capacity. Since 2000, there has been a big push on meeting global goals like reducing poverty, and now there's more involvement from groups outside of government. China has been actively engaged in international aid for more than 70 years, since 1915, and playing a significant role in both giving and receiving support. The international aids follow the principle of mutual benefit, no string attached, respect for sovereignty, and focus on results, aiming to help recipient countries to enhance their self-reliance and sustainable development capacity. China's aid has contributed positively to global health by providing crucial assistance during health crises like the Ebola outbreak and the COVID-19 pandemic. Additionally, it has supported peacekeeping efforts and promoting peaceful development in Africa, Asia, and other regions. Let's have a quickly look about a brief history of China's international aid. China's journey in international aid began in 1950s. At that time, with a focus on technical assistance and infrastructure projects. And in the 1916, Premier Zhou Enlai outlined the 8 principles marked the formal formation of China international aid policy, which also leads the first medical aid abroad to Algeria, marks China's commitment to global health. And since 2000, China has taken more lead roles, setting up an emergency relief mechanism in 2004, sending young volunteers for international aid in 2005, and supporting the World Food Programme's initiatives in Pakistan in 2017. And by 2018, the establishment of China International Development Cooperation Agency marked a new stage for China's international aid. And China has extended substantial financial aid to developed countries, providing those debt relief and other support to bolster their infrastructure and economic stability. Between 2013 to 2018, China provided a total of 270.2 billion yuan of the concession loans to 85 developed countries and cancelled 380 debts owned by 32 heavily in-debt poor countries and the least developed countries. This data are from the Chinese government white paper. And for the technical assistance, China also provides technical assistance to developed countries in various fields, including agriculture, health, and education. They sent over more than 7,800 experts and 20,000 medical personnel and more than 6,000 volunteers to 150 developing countries, and held over 10,000 training courses for more than 200,000 trainees from 192 developed countries. From 2030 to 2018, China has been committed to offer humanitarian aid to various countries and organizations around the world, addressing crises from the natural disaster, conflicts, and public health emergency and other crises. Men aim to save lives and ease suffering and uphold human dignity. China's aid covered all developed regions in the world, with a focus on the least developed countries, especially those in Africa and Asia. 2013 to 2018, China development assistance has reached 164 countries under 13 international and regional organizations, of which 123 were in Asia and Africa, accounting for 75% of the total number of recipients. And over a broader period from 2000 to 2020, Sub-Saharan Africa received the largest sharing of China's aid funding. The portion is 59%, and with the Southern Asia, East Asia, and Pacific, and the Middle East, and Northern Africa, and also Europe and Central Asia. Let's talk about the significance of international health aid. International health aid is a crucial element of global aid and policy. It plays a vital role in reducing health inequities, strengthening international collaborations, building diplomatic relations, and also catalyzing research and innovations, and also mitigating global health threats. Okay, there is the evolution of China's international health aid, which we experience 4 different phases. Those are the key milestones or the achievements in different phase or stage. And yes, these slides also talk about this. Okay, the the management of international health aid by China's Ministry of Health faced some challenges. The current system is somewhat disorganized and lacks a clear way to bring everything together. Also, the efforts in health aid are mostly done alone, without much back and forth with international development partners. Plus, there is a need to really look at the risks involved in aid projects to make sure they are managed well. Okay, just thank you. Okay, these are the future outlook of Chinese aid strategies. Chinese aid strategy has been a major shift, transition from being a recipient to become a donor country. This evolution reflects a balance between China's economic interests and its global responsibility. And now the strategy, including proactive international cooperation initiatives like the Belt and the Road and align with the UN SDGs. China is committed to work with the world to tackle challenges, promote peace, health, and contribute to humanity collective progress. And many thanks to Professor Virasa, Professor Espen, Professor Feng Zhangcheng, and Professor Li Hao. Thanks for your attention. Thanks.
Thank you for your presentation to introduce the situation about the international aid by China. The next one is Dr. Dovlivan Jeffrey, come from Indonesia. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Liu. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Before we start my presentation, I would like to express our gratitude to organizers who allow me to be here. So for this part, for the first part, I think we learned a lot about the local conflict and add more about the superpower geopolitical conflict. I think is more conflict one to how to solve and make a peace about the situation. So I will try to give the perspective, the possible role about the health profession, Southeast Asia, to make the peace collaboration with in the future, because so many have experience. Dr. Cynthia, Professor Lily, and also Dr. Anissa explained the history for the first time. So for the first, I would like to explain about the global situation, about the impact, the crisis. So I will not to say anything, because we try to describe with the picture. So we can look at the picture, but in the world now is the situation something like that. Sometimes the point is when you have the power, maybe all of those want to push down and others. So sometimes we forgot that the few days we try to the same thing about did you in the power in the future. But still they forgot. But have the power should be sometimes they push the down for the others. So the point how to make the situation stability and also make the tension about the situation in the Southeast Asia, have the superpower like the new superpower country like China and also US and Europe. So I think the first step already talk about the significant effect in Southeast Asia. So have the conflict counter-insurgencies, civil strife, terrorism, like also have the impact, the result, something like Dr. Cynthia, cross-border migration, trafficking, mobilization in not only the near like Myanmar, Thailand, also from Myanmar to Indonesia. But in Aceh also have the experience about the refugee for the Rohingya, also have the different attitude before come in Aceh, maybe 5 years before. But now have the need the refugee from Rohingya need adjusted the attitude and the situation in Aceh now. So, but before we try to play the role for us about the health profession, I think we try to understand now ourselves. Who am I? We are trying. Am I the conflict actor or the peace actor? You know, is it important for the region and should be especially in the Southeast Asia region? So the role, at least, we can play to attenuating the conflict. I think Dr. Cynthia also like how to make a mediator, patient and provider in conflict with the government, or also rebuild the area in the border. And also he can make the role like a trainer or educator. So Ajahn Phi and also Professor Hurchai said about how to building the capacity of local healthcare, not just for the government to government. I think for the first time, I think P2P, personal to personal, to make collaboration in the future. The third is maybe the role to play the profile health promoter. A promoter is mean that, for example, how to promoting the mental health and resilience, but not easy to make a relation, like a multi-conflict, like and also have a disaster in this situation in this country. So I think it's important also the last profile for to play the role is the advocator and collaborator. But I think is now the situation Southeast Asia, China, to be the superpower country, maybe have the chance how to collaborate with in China, maybe the academia and also the health sector to make the peace and collaborator in the future. So, way to exchange the conflict. But the problem, the first problem is how to building the trust and understanding. I think that make the big problem now. So I think for the health profession should be the providing the natural space before like a government and also a rebel area like a Myanmar and border in Thailand. So raising the awareness about the visiting health impact of conflict. So the second, I think Dr. Cynthia also explained about providing essential services. I think how to helping to alleviate the suffering of the affected people and advocating the peace and human rights. I think John Virasak said that subtheory, I think is, I agree about that, because how to collaboration and put everything to make the peace and human rights, but sometimes human rights, I think, probably to make the promoting the peace, unity, and stability. So the last one is important. I think is I try to follow the Professor Zunila said. We need the research and data collection in the future because we can capture the real situation before and after, and maybe the current situation in the country, documenting health impact and conflict, and developing conflict and sensitive health intervention in the future. So the conclusion is health provision, I think, is particularly likely to play a role with the electoral profile, like educator, trainer, mediator, health promoter, and also collaborator and also advocate in the future. So, but I agree about the alternating the superpower need a shared responsibility. We cannot work alone because we need collaboration in the future to require collective action. And the last one, maybe I think the health profession we can bridging the health diplomacy via health diplomatic innovation for peace, not only the Southeast Asia, also in the world in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your presentation. And let's we move on to Dr. Liu Li, come from Zhejiang Medical University, China.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my honor to have this opportunity to share some information about the emergence of global health programs in China currently. I think today we talk a lot about conflict, but there is peace everywhere. For example, after the COVID, this is my first time back to Thailand, and this time is totally different because China government and Thailand government agreed to cancel visa requirements permanently. So it's like visiting a very good neighbor. So that feels very good. So this is my presentation, and I will cover these topics like China's commitment to the global health and academic development in global health, and some case studies, and how we learn from global partners, challenges, and our solutions. Actually, China, last year we spent, it is the 60th anniversary of China dispatching medical teams abroad. So in the past 60 years, approximately 28,000 medical team members have been sent to 73 countries, treating 280 million patients. So we played actually a crucial role in controlling the Ebola outbreak, and also we conduct cataract and heart surgeries in over 30 countries. And also we do a lot of efforts strengthen health and wellness through civil international exchange and cooperation. For example, active participation from medical experts and organizations like Red Cross in combating global health crisis. And we aim to cultivate a skilled volunteer force of experts and professionals. And this is the overview of China's health aid projects from 2000 to 2017. We funded more than 1,000 health-related aid projects, accounting for 13% of its total aid projects. And the accumulative total of Chinese health aid reached about $4 billion over the past 18 years period from 2000 to 2017. And the top three sectors contribute to the 90% of total aid, which is medical services, basic health infrastructure, and health personnel development. And let's move to some information about academic development in global health in China. There has been a rapid expansion over the past 20 years. From this table, we notice that there is currently we have 8 active transnational programs identified as of September 2022. And programs include 1 bachelor, 4 master, and 3 doctoral degrees in global health. And among these 8 programs, actually there are 4 programs taught in English, which means that we welcome international students. And also there has been a big growth and impact of our research institutes. The global health institutions in China primarily established after in the year of 2000. And those institutions emphasize on mutually beneficial networking with other countries, especially low and middle income countries, as a major part of our development strategy. So from this graph, this is a graph about the numbers of publications on global health from 10 institutions in China. The first tier global health institutions in China is China CDC and Peking University and also Fudan University. But there are more global health institutions. This is my own experience. I will introduce two cases I personally experienced. I participate some activities and also trainings from the following two institutions. The first one is Wuhan University. This Global Health Institute founded in the year of 2011. Wuhan University's Global Health Institute established the first global health bachelor curriculum in China and will launch a new international MPH program in the year of 2025. And also they secured over like 300 research projects with funding exceeding 40 million yuan and published over 60 academic monographs and also contribute to more than like 20 national level textbooks and over 500 papers. And also they collaborated with BMC to launch the first open access journal in the global health field in China. And it's called Global Health Research and Policy. Actually, it's, now it's indexed in the Web of Science. Hopefully, it will get into the index of the SCI this year. And IF is 8.7. And the other one is Duke Kunshan University. This university is a China-US joint venture university. Launched its Master of Science in Global Health in 2014 and has recruited undergraduates in global health since 2018. And its master students have been encouraged to spend 10 weeks in one country to complete the field work upon which their theses were written. And in addition, students from Duke Kunshan University are given opportunities to intern with UN and other international organizations with scholarships supported by international organizations. They have very strong leadership. These two professors are co-host this institute. Professor Sheng Lantang and Professor Yun Guoliu. Professor Yun Guoliu is previously Deputy Regional Director of WHO Western Pacific region. And as we can see, their students is across the world. And let's move to how we learn from global partners. Actually, there has been many years collaborations and learning experience with high-income countries. For example, because currently I'm the liaison officer of China Medical Board in my university. So China Medical Board actually support our university since 1980s. And like from medical education to health system research, and currently they did a lot of job about improve the capacity of global health in China. There are two programs currently they implement. One is called China Consortium of Universities in Global Health, which encourage Chinese universities to design, develop, and also integrate global health curricula into medical and public health education. The other program is called Global Health Leadership Development Program, which aims to provide early career Chinese global health professionals with mentored, hands-on opportunities in capacity building and also field experience in low and middle income countries. And especially, this is very important, we also learn from low and middle income countries because we share the same problem, right? And this table shows that the major global health institutes in China, how they do their research. The main focus is like maternal and child health, malaria and infectious disease, disease surveillance, NCDs, health system strengthening, environmental health, and also international aid, development, and global governance. This is the area we are interested in. And the main partners, as we can see, is Asia and Pacific, and of course, Africa. Along the way, there are many challenges we are facing currently. As we can see, China donates a lot recently. But as for the official staff in international organizations like UN and WHO is actually not well represented. There is an insufficient number of overseas personnel, and also we lack skilled senior staff in international organizations. And there are also some barriers faced by institutions to conduct global health research. For example, lack of policy and political support, and lack of partners or networks. Okay, so many limitations, but we can work together. And this is our strategies and future directions. I will introduce a little bit about our current program. There is a Belt and Road Health Professional Development Alliance and China Global Health Capacity Building Project, and also there is a South to South Cooperation. So if you are interested in this program, you can look up. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Many thanks to Ajahn helping me, and thank you everyone.
Thank you for your presentation. That is announced. Please feel free to take a rest quickly, but we still continue this section. So the next one we move to Dr. Huang Thi Mijing from Health Strategy and Policy Institution, Vietnam. Please go ahead.
Yes. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So I would like to express my sincere thanks to HNV and the organizing committee for giving me the opportunity to be here to present, to share with you about Vietnam policy in strengthening international partnership and effort in international health cooperation toward peace and sustainable development in the region. And yes. Yes. Sorry? Yes. Yes. So first of all, that is the policy. Many of you may know that the people of Vietnam has suffered a lot from the war in the past, and we have to induce a lot of struggle and to safeguard our independence and the reunification. And therefore, we strengthen our tie with international partners in the spirit of our President Ho Chi Minh after Vietnam reclaimed our independence. That is, the peace is the benefit of all the people. Yes, and we follow a consistent foreign policy. That is, Vietnam is a friend, a reliable partner, and an active and responsible member of the international community. And we used to be a country suffer from embargo. But up to now, we have expanded and deepened our relationship with 193 countries. And we continue to actively and responsibly contribute to solving international problems. And okay, and we are tightening the partnership with Asian community. and we understand that such the partnership will help the Vietnam to people to improve the quality of life, as well as we can contribute to the a common identity of sharing, caring, harmony, and open resistance. So in this slide, I would like to briefly introduce. Maybe some of you already familiar to this. That is the Asian Post-2015 Health Development Agenda, and with a vision of a healthy, caring, and sustainable Asian community. The Asian Health Development Agenda includes the 4 clusters. And to ensure a healthy, caring, and sustainable Asian community by promoting health lifestyle, responding to all hazards and emerging health threats, strengthening the health system and access to care, and ensuring food safety. And this is the 4 health development agenda cluster. For promoting healthy lifestyle, you can see a lot of the area, 7 areas. For strengthening health system and access to care, another health area, and then responding to all hazards and emerging threats, as well as ensuring food safety. And the overall goal that is to reach a healthy, caring, and sustainable Asian community. So how Vietnam try to contribute to this? For example, for the cluster number 1, currently we are now the Vice President of the Center for Dynamic Aging and Innovation in Asia. And we hope that in the next 2 years, Vietnam will be in the effort to be the president of the center. Another yes, and for another cluster, for example, cluster number 3, we are currently take the role of the chair of Asian Cluster 3 on strengthening the health system and access to health service in the period of 2023 and 2024. And with the experience in disease response and control, Vietnam now hosts one pillar of the Asian Center for responding to public health emergencies and emerging infection disease. It seems that some slide here is not from my final one, so I still want to continue with some. Can health be a bridge to peace in the context of Asia? We are I was born after the war. My older brother, my niece, my aunt, my parents suffered a lot from the war. So when I remember the first time when I visited Achan Virasak in the University of Prince of Songkhla. At that time, Vietnam and China, we have some diplomatic issue in the sea. And I still remember what Achan Vi told us, that is we are in a harmony and peace environment. So that is he encouraged us to work, to study hard, and can try and can contribute something to the regional peace. And today when I come here in this forum, I understand more about the value of such motivation. I asked Achan, you work in the peace area for how many years? And Achan told me that 20 years. Yeah, and Achan said that we should think do what we think we need to do. At first, no, nothing, and no how to say, no partner, no behind us at the beginning. But now, Achan and the team, and I think the whole community, with this direction, we are on the right track, and we can see that the deep Saudi Fund, how it works with some colleagues, with the community in the border area. So we think that the younger generation of the health professional, if we are well informed, if we are well networked, we can contribute something and can help bridge to the peace in ASEAN. We think that ASEAN is a community cover many fields and yet diverse across many cooperation areas. In terms of education, environment, social welfare, labor and employment, work, control, and health. So, tightening the partnership with the ASEAN community can contribute to improve the quality of life of each country's population. And the sharing solidarity and unity with the people of ASEAN countries, creating favorable conditions to build a common identity of a shared, a caring, harmonious, and open region can make ASEAN stronger, make ASEAN have a capacity to respond to the how to say the insecurity situation. So we hope that this can contribute to a healthy, caring, and sustainable community and regional peace and sustainable development. Yeah. So there is only one thing. We think that the challenge facing the social security system in the region, including the health sector, I focus on the challenge that seem to be more in the link with a higher risk to the vulnerable group. That is the target of our program today. That is the emerging trend in the region, demographic trend, migration. We know a lot of story about migration and the impact of the climate change. The persistent poverty, we think that is still a bottleneck, and the emerging pandemics. So we think that the health professional in the area, the younger generation in the network, we can contribute to generate evidence to inform the policy development to deal with this high risk. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation. Even some technical issue, but still your presentation still so insightful. And the last one is our moderator, Dr. Wei Chuitadi, come from Prince of Songkha University, and he will share your slides.
Hi everyone. Before I begin, because we organizers need to show evidence that people come to this meeting, you can find this QR code on the left and right side of your desk. Before the end of this session, please kindly scan and fill the online evaluation form. Thank you. And with that, I will begin my presentation. Can I have the pointer, please? So once again, please fill out the evaluation form. The QR code is at the right and left hand side of your desk. Thank you. Thank you, Dev. ขอสไลด์ด้วยครับ Okay. So firstly, I would like to thank all of my co-panelists this afternoon for presenting their talks as well as ideas on both international aid and how health can be a bridge for peace. And I'm an academic, and I just wonder, okay, how does working as an academic in health science, which is also a part of health, can relate to peace. So this is kind of a way to also bring it all home, to think, okay, how can we start building peace with our own actions first? So my talk today would be on how to promote peace, or how peace can be promoted as a byproduct of international research training program in health sciences in Southeast Asia. Okay, so before I talk about this peace promotion as part of the international research training programs, what is peace? There are two types according to theory. One is what we call negative peace. It means people are not killing and hurting one another. It's the absence of conflict, but it doesn't mean there's no other forms of violence. Because even if there's absence of direct violence, if people are not killing each other, not hurting each other, there could still be both indirect violence, such as existing social structures that harm others or restrict the advancement of others, or there could be structural violence, and this could be in the form of oppression by political or economic means, or it could also be social discrimination. Now, social discrimination and these indirect and structural violence does not function only from the state, but also from people within society. So this is where individual actions comes in, including individuals who have been trained in international health research. Positive peace, on the other hand, refers to not only absence of physical direct violence, but also absence of indirect and structural violence. When all types of violence is gone, this is where trust can be fostered among peoples, and then lasting peace can be ensured. So I'm speaking based on this paradigm. So do individuals' actions matter? Think about this. Wars and conflicts and genocides happen. There's always an action where one group have the us mentality, and they refer to a group that's different from that group as the others. Specifying people as others and the otherings is essentially what led to people being more divided, and with the divisions come mistrust. With mistrust comes additional escalation, and this kind of mistrust leads to structural violence, so discrimination as well as other ill treatment of others, which then leads to direct violence. Just think of, for example, what happens in, I think, most countries that have any kind of ethnic conflicts. Think of the Balkans. Even think of Germany in the 1930s. Slowly, politicians start to think of, okay, we're going to consolidate power by blaming the other groups as the others. And this way, there's the us versus them mentality, which then consolidate the political base, but then it's at the expense of the group that became the others. Examples of this include, as I mentioned, the Holocaust, as well as apartheid and post-apartheid violence in South Africa. There's the Sri Lankan Civil War, as well as the Rwandan genocide. But on the other hand, the idea of the others and the othering of people happens maybe partly because we're within each echo chamber. And within each echo chamber, we develop our own very biased notion. A way to counter this is to gain exposure to others. The more extensive, the better. As Mark Twain has mentioned, travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness. So, in a way, when I studied overseas, I was working towards a degree, yes, but it was also a way to gain exposure to not only Americans, but also classmates from different societies in ways that just regular travel wouldn't do, And that's the additional advantage of international education. So the international education market is expanding in Asia, especially in Southeast Asia. And there have been times when we have students from countries that may have had bad history with one another. We also have students from the same country that may have had bad history or bad ongoing relationship with one another. But everyone that enrolls in the PhD program wants to graduate. That's the bottom line. That's why they're in school, right? So within that, and when you're working on the problem, you have two choices. You can silo yourself and think of others who are different as your competitor, or you can cooperate with your friends, even if you're from places or groups of people that are opposed to one another. And I mean, I think in apartheid South Africa, there was a saying, because black and white soldiers in the army fought together, there's no apartheid in the front line, or there's no apartheid in the foxhole. Likely, or similarly, there's no international conflict when you're both working on the same thesis and you're trying to code. So that's the notion. The other thing is graduate students tend to have prolonged exposure to one another. You know, you're stuck together in the same program for years. You get to know your friends on a very personal level. These interactions have the tendency to break down stereotypes. This also may lead to renunciation of old belief and also the fostering of empathy. Alumni of graduate programs often take up senior leadership positions in different organizations, which can then influence others and then ensure positive peace. So examples, one case would be Derek Black, I think godson of the KKK leader, went to New College of Florida because it was cheap, but also he met a lot of minority students. He renounced his white supremacist belief, I think by junior year. But this is not always a guarantee. So there's one study by sociologists at UCLA, Zachary Ritter. He interviewed students from mostly East Asia about their kind of interaction with students of African American and Hispanic descent. And the finding was that, so these students, the Asian students, got influenced by the media, and then certain negative stereotypes initially exist, but with positive interactions, with a lot of time spending with friends and with enabling environment, these stereotypes start to change from the negative to the positive. But it's not always guaranteed. With the lack of interactions with what the author termed balkanization, which is kind of the siloing of the international from the domestic students, with the language barriers, stereotypes can ossify. In other words, this can backfire without the proper conditions. Studies in Norway look at the broader picture, but found that usually education has a liberalizing effect, so it tends to be in the positive, but and the education is negatively correlated with anti-immigrant sentiments, but the effect is not guaranteed, so it's not monolithic. So what I'm trying to say is, so grad school can be seen as the lab for intercultural coexistence in a way, and this may or may not come from quick conversations with my students. I ask them, how did the things you see here surprise you? And I'm not going to name where they're from, but essentially, the students remark that there are fewer differences between them and friends from other countries than they thought. You know, they watch the same TV shows, they're interested in similar things. Despite religious differences, the cultures were surprisingly a lot more similar than they initially presumed. And they mentioned there's bigger age gap with older classmates than the cultural gaps between classmates of different countries, but of the same age. And with that, I end my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for Dr. Wait's presentation. Before we get in the group Q&A section, we have some summary by our chair, Professor Weisman, and also Professor Feng Zhanchun and Professor Weisman.
It's really not easy to summarize the presentations. I think all of you point to cooperation in different ways. That's a way to promote peace. In the first presentation from China, Yue, you talked about the history of China since 1950 regarding international aid. And you also talked a little bit about China's own interest in doing it. But the challenges slide was very quick, so I can't say more about that. And then we had the second presentation talking about power, conflict, migrants, health, the different roles and actions, and then China's role in global health by Li. Yeah. Very interesting figures you presented, that 28,000 medical team members have been sent to 73 countries, treating 290 million patients. I wonder where the figures come from, but amazing what China has contributed to. And also the examples from Wuhan and Duke Kunshan, yeah. The first master program in 2014 and bachelor in 2011. So global health have been what should I say, a topic for many more years. But yeah, and then Huang, international partnership. You talked about Asian health cluster and promoting healthy lifestyle, strengthening our health system, responding to hazards and emergency, ensuring food safety, and peace promotion as a byproduct of training, international cooperation. That's also one way to create peaceful relations between each other, and very useful. Then I will pass, and you can comment on my comments. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Feng Zhanchun, come from Tongji Medical College. I'm glad to attend this meeting. After leaving the lectures, only to answer the question, can health be a bridge to peace? I think health has become a bridge to peace in Southeast Asia and China. And It also be a bridge to peace in other regions such as Middle East. As researchers in the field of health, we should not only improve human health, but also should strengthen cooperation between the countries and promote peace of the world. Thank you.
Thank you for all our chairs. And the next one, we still have 20 minutes to have Q&A section. Okay, Ajahn, thank you. You are the first one to kick off the section.
I try to link connect the Dr. Cynthia's presentation with these presentations and etc. I have two main questions. From your perspective, Professor and our colleagues, how can China bring peace to Myanmar? Because we in our ASEAN country, we try, but not so effective. We are thinking that the key to the success would be in China, because China has a lot of, China is just big brother nowadays. That's why we say it. And this would be very important, because if you can bring peace to Myanmar, then our ASEAN, would be very good, because we have no more wars except some point there. Okay, that's the first question. Second, this is a concern, global concern, not only Thai concerns or ASEAN concern. China is, have the international policies and the threat together, right? So you state that it would be, I think when I look at the government, the government says it would be something like oriented by the recipients oriented, recipient demands. But the Belt and Road policy, it's pushing. You push a lot of transportations to several countries which may not be ready to receive it. So eventually they will be indebted. You will be the, what you call, they will owe you something. What will be the future? Because when you have these financial, constraints, and the relationship is not in the equal position, because you are in the upper hands and the other are in the lower hands. But how can you, young people, is there any evidence that there's any attempt to solve this problem in the future? Two questions. One is Myanmar, which is all ASEAN concern. And the second is about the upper hand and lower hand. Thank you. Hard question to my students.
Thank you, Ajahn, for the hard questions. And I try to, those are not just hard, that's big questions. I try to link your question with my presentation. The first, I will address the problem in Myanmar, right? Last night I talked to some health workers. They say that China actually train health workers from Myanmar, because those health workers cannot get the training from the Myanmar government. I think for bringing peace to Myanmar or other countries, my suggestion is we start from the non-governmental aspect, like civil cooperation level. So we can show that is when we bring health to those countries, there will be peace, there will be loving each other. I think that's the first step. We show the evidence. That is my answer to your first question. And as for the even bigger question, and I think as Professor Luo demonstrated in her presentation, when there's like countries cannot pay back our debt, actually we cancel that debt. Yes. Okay, that's my answer.
I will have a short response to Ajian. I think for the second question, Professor Liu already answered from as one aspect. And another thing I want to, we always follow the principle is be respect to each other. And we also move to a new stage. We don't just want to give the financial support and donate money, and we also try to work together to think about how we can sit together and what we can do for each other. We help to especially the education and technological support, and we also want to benefit both sides. And for the one road, one belt policy, I think the government also want to try to think and also want to discuss how we both different countries we can have cooperations. Not just, I think also try to find some ways to solve that kind of in different position, but we can sit together and discuss.
I just have a feeling that China has to come out more freely because academic people, you show that you have a lot of visit, and I mean going mobile medical teams. In science, in epidemiology, we call parachute scientists. You understand? That's when you heard about this. The parachute scientists, they come from the sky, collect data and go out. You should look at the Americans. You say, they sent a lot of Peace Corps for many decades. So American people understand the whole world because they send out a lot of people. China has to send more people outside and stay longer term. Should not just be parachute scientists, collect data and go back. Okay, you have to, one, you stay longer. I mean, we have a lot of Chinese traders, but we have very few academic Chinese who work long term enough with Thai. We have one in Chulalongkorn, right? Professor, but that one is we call professor of two countries. In Thai we call ศาสตราจารย์สองแผ่นดิน Professor of two countries. He is from Yunnan. He is from หัดใหญ่ He is professor in China and so professor in Thailand. We need somebody like that more from China to understand the other country. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. When countries understand all other countries, sometimes they also believe that they understand all other countries. So it's a small, sometimes a small difference. I will remind you that international aid costs per year 2,300 billion US dollar. That was in 2022. Almost 80% of that is due to conflict across the world. And I wonder, in China, has there been any discussion about what is China's role when they provide aid to different countries? Because it's always something about money and interest and power. but it's also quite costly. So that's a question. And before you answer, I think maybe you have a question related to countries' understanding of the world. Yeah, please give the microphone.
Yes, and my name is Vasik and I work with WHO. So I wanted to comment on Professor Veer's very interesting but relevant comments. So far until your comments, we had a very peaceful session, but after your comments, it may go non-peaceful and towards. So on a lighter note, but there are some important elements to consider here. First is that when we are talking about health as a bridge for peace, we should not overlook the limitations that this concept has. We are not saying that we are going to replace diplomacy's role. We are not saying that we are going to replace the crucial part that state-to-state relationships play. We are not saying that we are going to overlook the important part that UN-like global mechanisms play in it. We are saying we, as health providers and healthcare workers, can do much more than what we are doing at the moment in conflict-affected countries and in conflict-affected settings. That is the idea. So that is one, when we are getting into this debate of contribution from one country or another. The second kind of opinion, that is my personal opinion, is about one country becoming bigger, giving more aid, and then recipient countries facing problems. The problem is two-way. Aid, money comes with its strings attached. There is no free lunch in this world. But there is a problem on the recipient country side also, especially in case of debt and other things as well. When the easy money comes, they ask for more and more and more and more. So I personally believe the responsibilities lies, if not 100%, at 60 to 70% more on the recipient side also. Some people may argue in power balance, they have imbalance in terms of as recipients of that money. But how that money is spent, how that money is utilized, and the way that relationship it is maintained, there are certain controls that recipients have, and often those controls are lost in that relationship. Now, going back to the element of China's role, as we have seen in one of the presentations, there is a limitation, acknowledged limitation, that the system of international aid or international support from China is still fragmented. It is divided. In one of the presentation slides, I think it was mentioned, my colleague's slide, I think. So, but over the years, we have seen, at least I'm in global health for 22 years, I have seen that this role has gradually improved. And it is getting as consolidated as it should be eventually. But it is rather slow compared to the economic powerhouse that China has become and compared to the political influence it has. So I think I agree with you, Professor Veer, that China's role has more potential in terms of global health diplomacy to grow and influence other countries as it can do in politics and in economics as well. So at the end of the day. But I wanted to conclude with this, that when health is discussed as a bridge for peace, it should be discussed and seen as with certain limitations and strings attached to it, and not as in its entirety as a replacement of the diplomatic and other systems. Thank you.
Absolutely, that's a very important statement, that we cannot exclude the other means of creating peace, like diplomacy. But we can do health diplomacy, and that's what we are talking about here. You want to?
May I join you?
Yeah.
Yes. Who are we speaking to in this room? Am I speaking to China? Am I speaking to Norway or Indonesia? Or am I speaking to human beings who are living in China and in Indonesia, Norway, and etc.? You see, we are looking at one another. This is my comment. The world is, you talk about the word emergencies. we are having more and more emergencies, health emergencies and political, etc. But we are still trapped into our inability to really deal with the emergencies. So I think this is my first challenge, following my esteemed colleague. Now, I just would like to follow what Dr. Vadik said. China is adapting more into the world role gradually. But the speed of adaptation, in his words, are behind the global influence. You see. So I want to focus on the gap that we are not doing enough. And if we talk about one another as a representative of China or representative of Indonesia, no one can represent the president, I think. So my point here is that maybe if we would like to go a little further, we need to face the reality that we are trapped into our own framing, that we are unable to move ahead. Dr. Witt said something. His topic is byproduct of educational program. But my point is that byproducts are not enough anymore. Byproducts are not enough anymore. In the world where, why could Dr. Virasak ask a question to you? It's also a very privilege because he has been a professor of Professor Leonie. And otherwise, you can get mad because the question is very challenging, and that's really politics. So my point here is that the world is, the gap of our dealing with the world are much partly problem of our entrapment. So if we want to go ahead, how can we make the health diplomacy, health diplomats a leading role in defining what we can do in the world? More, not just being a byproduct of something. So health diplomacy can create peace-building environment. So these are the kind of some role already mentioned. So I would like to push forward to a more challenging role of the peace role or peacemaking role of the professionals, with what they call health and etc. In that sense, we don't, the space is wide enough. We don't leave the diplomacy only to the first track. So I just would like to follow that up and see how we can intentionally frame not the byproduct of role, but to make up our educational that we are forming, global health, etc., global development studies, etc., to engage in how we have a large heart, a large understanding, so that new generation can stay in another country and imagine that we have to work together for the better future, not only locked in the countries, etc. Thank you.
I invite you to reply on my previous question.
I'm going to give a reply from my own opinions. I think there is a thing of China we call Tai Qi and Yin Yang. We thought everything they have both sides, Yin and Yang. And we also, at the last slides of my presentation, I also talk about the new strategy. Chinese government also want to, balance the interest and the global responsibility. As everything we may think from a peaceful way to think about what we can give. For China, we give first. Then we want to make the benefit for both sides. If we just want to think, okay, you have to just donate without any incident, I think it's unfair. Yes, for you cannot just say, okay, this is a big country, this is a small country. They want to work together, it means the big country maybe take advantage from the small country. No, we just want to see what we can do. From a good way to think about what we can give, and meaningful when we give, what we can get, and for the other country, what we can give to them, and also we can make the both sides in the development. Is my personal views, Professor.
You want to? No. Okay.
Thank you for that discussion. It's so wonderful, and for the part 2, the section is finished. Thank you. And the next section is the final. Let's wait. You want?
Okay, we have only 3 minutes. Is it? Just, I promised you something earlier today, so I want to keep my promise. I said Dennis Mukwege, Doctors Without Borders, International Physicians for the Prevention of Nuclear War. What is common? They wanted to make the world better. They received the Nobel Peace Prize. And background, medical doctors. We could add Cynthia Mang, but you haven't received the Nobel Peace Prize, but you have done a fantastic job in the border area, building and keeping the hospital. Background, doctors. But if we add international campaign to ban landmines, and Henri Dumont, the founder of Red Crescent movement, they also received the Nobel Peace Prize, but they were not doctors or health personnel, but humanitarians, businessmen, social activists, political and human rights activists must therefore be added to doctors together with other health personnel, medical students, and journalists. We need to work together, that's my point, to create peace. We can do a lot. We must be creative, and then we can work with other groups and across health professions. And, for example, how can we reduce killing of health personnel and damage hospitals, ambulances? Maybe we could form a group working just on that to reduce damage and killings of health personnel. I think maybe somebody are doing that right now, perhaps, but we need to be creative. Then we can do a lot, and we can do many small steps that can contribute to peace, like giving courses with participants from different countries, like we did in Oslo with Palestinians and Jewish Israeli participants. It worked mainly fine. We had one problem once, but they created a common understanding about each other. So useful. Yeah, that's my final word, I think.
Okay, thank you for that. Oh, but time is up for this section.
So now we're on. Okay, thank you very much, session. So I would like to invite panelists and chairpersons to return to their seat for the last part of today's session. So PSU has a token of appreciation. Conclusion. Okay. Give us very quickly in the conclusion. Okay. So PSU has a token of appreciation for all panelists and for all chairpersons in this session. So I would like to start with the panelists first. So I'd like to Adam Resak to stay on this side of the stage and for the panelists to come on my left-hand side. So firstly, many thanks to Dr. Sin Jae Mong. Dr. Sin Jae Mong, please.